Fantasy football, RSVP. So let's get right to it with week 15 of fantasy football. Wow, the season just flew by. And I like Gordon Minshew. Minshew is back. Mustache Man is back, and I really like him. I think they're going to be playing from behind personally. And Minshew has something to play for. He wants to prove himself. I think he's going to come in and do what he normally does. And it could be a nice pickup, maybe get you 25 points. Somewhere in that vicinity, and that could be enough to hold your own at quarterback if you're really stuck. But Minshew is Minshew. When he's in there, he throws the ball. He's a gunslinger, and I really like him, and I think he's going to do really well. I spoke about Phillip Rivers last week. Had a pretty productive week. He's been pretty hot lately, and he's a streaky quarterback. So I think he's going to be doing really well again, and he's going up against the Texans offense, and I have a feeling that's going to be a high-scoring game. I just do. I think, Colts will take a lead, and then Texans will come back, and then, vice versa. I think there'll be a lot of garbage points for the Texans, and they're going to have to keep piling on the points because the Texans can put up a lot of points, even with a depleted wide receiving core. They could put up a lot of points. So I think Watson, I think that's a game going to do really well. I think that Phillip Rivers is a really good play, as I do. If T.Y. Hilton is still in your waiver wire, play him this week. I think it's a great play. I'm sure he's gone by now. And I'm not recommending him this week, but if he's available or if he's on your bench, play him. He's on my team. I'm playing him, okay, over the likes of Deontay Johnson and over the likes of Amari Cooper, because I just like the matchup. And Hilton's been coming on for weeks now, so I really like that setup. As far as running backs, it's a depleted thing. It's amazing to me, Cam Akers. I've been talking about this guy all year. And I even said earlier in the year, I said, Cam Akers is going to be the starter at the end of the year, and no one believed me because, their coach keeps saying, running back, it's going to be committee. But the guy has like 27 touches, 30 touches total, and he's playing the Jets, and they're going to be ahead in that game. Okay, the Jets have all but given up. Sorry to hear that. I'm a New Yorker, but, they've all but given up, and I really think that it's going to be a running game. They're going to get a big lead, the Rams. Game scripts, we talk a lot about it here. I think Cam Akers running the ball at the end of the game. They're going to give it to him to see what they got. It's almost like a giveaway game. Let's see what Cam's got. Let's see what he could do. I think this guy might be able to win the championship, As far as anyone else for running backs, much to my dismay, because I've had him on my team all year, the number one fantasy football player, Christian McCaffrey, and it looks like he's going to be out again. And that's just the way fantasy football goes. There's been years I haven't had injuries, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this. There's been injuries are part of it. You have to win in spite of injuries. You can't say when you win without injuries that, I won the championship, and then when you lose with injuries, you can't say, it's because of injuries. You got to rise above, So I think Mike Davis is going to be a nice, when Packers, somewhat of a tough matchup, but the volume should be there. And so I really like Mike Davis coming in. I think he should do really, really well for you. And especially in PPR, I think he's going to do really well. So I like Mike Davis. I think he's going to do really well and get the volume, and that should be there. And it could be a nice plug-in. Get you 15, 20 points. Should be able to. Okay, should be able to. Should still be able to get 80, 90 yards. Should still be able to get 3 or 4 catches for 30, 40 yards. 15 points. Maybe you can throw in a touchdown and get lucky. As far as wide receivers, it's the end of the season, and now this is the hard time because a lot of the receivers are taken at this point because there's been so many injuries with receiver corps. So I really think that everyone's waiver wire's got to be thin. So who would be a nice plug-in? I'd like a couple of guys in bounce-back games. They had a good couple of weeks, great few weeks. We're riding high and then had an off week last week. Not the most favorable matchups, but you can sometimes have to go with teams at the end of the season. I really like the way the Buffalo Bills are playing, and I really like Cole Beasley, in this spot. Okay, so I think that, Denver, Mile High, the weather should be good, and I really like their kicker there too, which we'll get into in a little bit. But I like Cole Beasley. I think they're going to have a lead, the Bills. And if they have a lead, it stops going into the long pass game script. You got to start thinking game script. We talk a lot about it here. And I think that what's going to happen is they're going to have lead and then just sort of run the ball, short passes in the slot, and that should be open for Cole Beasley. So I kind of really like the game script of that. As well, I really like Corey Davis this week. Their receiver core is still banged up. The reason why I didn't have a big game last week is because they had a big lead. And when they have a big lead, they tend to run the ball. But at some point, they got to pass the ball. And I just think it's one of those things where he'll have a bounce back game. You don't want to ever be too predictable in a game. And frankly, I think Tennessee's going to win that game pretty handily. And you're not going to wear out, your running back. You want to save him. Start thinking you got to save him. I think the other day he had 200 yards after 3 quarters. They sat him the whole 4th quarter. And that might happen again because there's a trend. You got to play the trends in fantasy football. T.Y. Hilton is trending up. Okay. Herbert. Everyone's asking me about Herbert this week. It's on my team. I'm benching him for Lamar. He's in a great matchup, but he's been trending bad for the last few weeks. And all of a sudden, especially last week, sort of looks like Lamar is starting to be Lamar. He's starting to trend up. His receivers are getting healthy. Okay, and he had a big game. He had a confidence-building game. So normally, and I've all year long been starting Herbert over Lamar. And if you're in that position, I would probably consider, and look, Herbert could probably easily outscore Lamar. But I don't like the way he's trending. And I've gotten so far in life giving advice on fantasy football for all my fans, telling people to play the trends until they buck you. And right now, and you got to play your studs. Herbert's not a stud. Herbert is a stud. He's sort of been acting like a stud all year, but he's not a proven stud. Lamar's a stud. He's a former MVP. And sooner or later, this guy is going to get it together. Sooner or later. MVPs become MVPs. You got to remember that in the playoffs. MVPs, studs, step up in big games. And, Lamar did last week. So I like the fact that he's a stud. Herbert's not. He's a stud in the making. And he's been trending bad. Lamar's trending well. Starting Lamar. Okay? Same thing, with certain teams. Tennessee's playing well. I like Corey Davis. And I think they're going to start resting, probably the best running back in the league. They're going to start resting, Henry a little bit, especially if they have a lead. You're going to start seeing him coming out in the mid-third, 4th quarter. And it's great for short little passes. And Corey Davis is a pretty good route runner. So I think I think it's just going to be one of those bounce back games. Should do it. As far as wide receiver, that's a tough one. I have a couple of thoughts in mind. However, I'm going to go with Robert Tonyan. I haven't been real big on his stock, but the guy's grown on me, and he's got 4 touchdowns 4 weeks. He's got a touchdown 4 weeks in a row, and this is a guy where what we call in tennis hold serve. This is a guy that can get you 5. He's averaging 5 receptions pretty much over the last 4 or 5 weeks. He gets about 40 or 50 yards, okay? And the last 4 weeks, he got a touchdown. This guy is almost a dunk shot, okay? A dunk shot. Based on what I see, I'm not making guarantees here. They're only projections. This guy is almost a dunk shot to get you 10 points. And if you get 10 points from a wide receiver this late in the season, let me tell you something, that's a pretty good deal. And I really think, Green Bay's going to be up in this game, which leads to the game script tight end scenario as well. They're not going to be throwing the ball as deep. You may even see, if they have a big lead, you may see Adams sit, who easily is injury prone. And they're not going to throw the ball downfield. They're going to run the ball, okay? People were asking me about Aaron Jones. And, because his number's going down. Aaron Jones is a stud. He's on your team, you play. Okay? He's on my team. I'm playing him. Am I concerned about his usage? Yeah, they're trying to save him for the playoffs, but this is a game script game, and they've been doing that for a while, and they may just want to unleash Aaron Jones this game. And even if not, if it's PPR, I'm a PPR redraft podcaster. Okay, I'm not a dynasty podcaster. You got to pick your poison. All my advice is based on redraft PPR. I like Robert Tonyan. I think that the game script, short over the middle, ball control, run the ball. This has got that written all over it. Okay, and I think Adams is going to start sitting. They got to save him for the playoffs. If they have a lead, which I think they will, I think it's a smart play. Okay, as far as defense, this is actually quite interesting. A lot of people raised a couple eyebrows because I said to play the Patriots defense this week against Tua. And people are looking at me, crazy against it. First of all, Tua's unproven. Okay. Kind of a fan. I think he's going to be a really good quarterback. He's unproven, though. And I saw some things, growing pains psychologically, a week or two ago, where he was benched. And these are the things that circle around a team, and no one, and I mean no one, go deep, no one is better at getting inside a rookie's head better than Patriots and better than Bill Belichick. I mean, this guy's record against rookie quarterbacks is ridiculous. In fact, they gave the game away against the Rams, and, Goff is still a relatively young quarterback. He didn't look that great, okay? It was 24-3, but if you watch the game, it was a lot closer than that. Cam threw a pick six at the end of the game. It was like 16-17-3. And the defense has been coming on, of late. I mean, they shut down a Chargers offense that was rolling. Herbert was rolling. Herbert still doesn't look like he recovered from that game. I mean, this guy's been on my team putting up 25, 30 points every single week. Play her. And the Patriots shut him out. And if you watch the game, I mean, he looked bad, and no one made that guy look bad. It's just something the Patriots know that no other team knows about rookie quarterback. And paying attention, I've seen some holes in the offense of when Tua's in there. Okay, it's not like Fitzpatrick, and I'm seeing some holes there. And the running back situation, which was really strong in Miami, is actually hurting bad. A lot of guys injured, okay? A lot of guys injured on the offensive side of the ball, okay? Parker is probably going to be out. Preston Williams, probably going to be out. Gesicki is probably going to be out. This has got Bill Belichick written all over it. I'm starting the Patriots this week. So should you, okay? I think this is going to be a great week for the Patriots. I could be wrong. I don't think so. As far as kickers are concerned, you always want to look for an edge at the end of the season. So, I've gone back and forth whether kickers should even be out there because it's like a guessing game. You never know. And I used to say this a lot, like maybe kickers shouldn't even be out there, on a fantasy football team. And some of the people close to me actually convinced me otherwise, and they said, no, it takes strategy, and I believe this. And so I really embraced kickers this year and did fairly well. I believe a lot more in streaming kickers than just, unless you have a good number of games in a row, or, you have a good defense and a good offense with a kicker, and they have troubles getting in the end zone like the Colts. Things like that. But there's an interesting fact. I want to share it with everyone. Probably shouldn't share it. Is out of the top 6-7 field goals in history, most of those have been kicked in Mile High Stadium in Denver. A lot of people don't know that. So, at the elevation, the ball travels further in Denver. The problem is at the end of the year's weather, but the weather's going to be nice. It's going to be in the 40s, sunny, no wind, and you have Tyler Bass, who has put up 4 out of the last 5 weeks, has put up double-digit numbers. And that's because in the beginning of the season he wasn't put up as high as numbers because the Buffalo Bills offense wasn't flying the way it is right now. But the Buffalo Bills have a little bit of a hard time putting the ball in the end zone. And this guy's numbers, if you look at the first 6-7 weeks, is getting 6 points, 7 points, 5 points, 6 points. You look over the last 5 weeks, this guy's getting 12 points, 14, 16. I think he even hit 20-something one week. He did. It was 21. And this guy's just knocking, the ball. And he's kicking with a high percentage, and it's in Mile High Stadium. In game script, you have them going against Denver. Denver is not the worst team in the world in the red zone on defense. Their defense is respectable against a good offense, right? And meaning the Buffalo Bills offense, even the Denver's offense playing well. I think Drew Lock's going to be a really great player. It's on his way. But that has a field goal feel to it. Good offense, decent defense. Buffalo has a hard time always getting in the end zone. Denver's pretty good at holding people in the end zone, and we're in Mile High Stadium, okay? Where the ball, most of the longest field goals in NFL history have been kicked in Mile High. You can look it up. I don't have the exact number in front of me, but if the top 6 or 7 field goals, I think 3 of them were in Mile High. 3 or 4. So 3 or 4 of them. So it's a little bit of an edge that you could get at the end of the season. The weather, keep checking the weather reports. Usually I pick a dome or a hot weather place this late in the season. But I really doesn't look like there's going to be any rain. Doesn't look like it's going to be in the 40s, not the 20s. It won't deaden the ball. And the ball just falls in Mile High. And everyone knows that. And this guy's kicking well. So there's a good chance that this might be a good situation, good offense, where you might be able to walk away with double digits, and it's almost like a gimme. Okay? So that's pretty much it for Week 15. I want to wish everyone a happy holiday season. I hope you're still in the playoffs. Some people go to 16, some people go to 17. I actually to be honest, I actually like 17. I'll tell you why. People think it takes less strategy, but they're actually incorrect. It's not an intelligent statement. It takes more intelligence and strategy to prepare for Week 17, knowing that your studs may be sat down. If you look at a team's record and that last game doesn't matter to them, they're going to rest all their starters. And, there's something to be said for having all the teams having a chance. Instead of a team, let's say there's a team, no injuries, everything went well, everything perfect, and just flying to Week 17. And I don't believe in the 2-game playoff. There's no 2-game playoffs in NFL football. Why are there 2-game playoffs in fantasy football? Okay. You know who wins in a 2-game playoff? Usually the team that not only is the best team, but the most fortunate team, meaning no injuries. Okay? What Week 17 does is it gives an opportunity, evens the playing field, if someone prepares, where they might be able to be a wild card and take it all. And that's another reason why you have 1 game versus 2-game playoffs. It takes more strategy, it takes more intelligence. The only one that complains about 1-game strategies and complains about, Week 17 are usually teams that have the best team. The teams that have the worst team in the playoffs or not as good a team in the playoffs never complain, okay, which is the majority. And I think it's better that way because, like I said, a lot of teams, it's just their year, their players doing well. Look at Lamar Jackson. MVP last year, probably the best fantasy quarterback to have, right, last year? This year, he might be one of the worst. He's just been terrible. But I think that's going to change starting this week, starting him over Herbert. And that's just how it goes, okay? I owned players last year that were terrible. This year, they're the top fantasy football players. Talking stars. They were stars last year, but just unfortunate things. And this is what Week 17 provides. It provides, if things didn't go quite your way, but your team is pretty solid, okay? You might have another team that has been more fortunate. Everything's going their way. No injuries to their top players, okay? And they're just waltzing into the finals. But not if their players sit. And everyone has a chance, including the players that have been fortunate to prepare, and no one ever does for Week 17. And that's why Week 17, in my opinion, is very important. I tell everyone, keep 17 in. Keep 17 in. It just makes things even crazier. You got to strategize even more. And I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me, but I'm not. I'm a believer in Week 17. So I want to wish everyone the very best. Have yourself a great fantasy football. Fantasy Football RSVP is our website. F Football RSVP is our Twitter. Fantasy Football RSVP is Instagram and Facebook, and so on and so forth. We're a top and trending show this year for Messi.fm. It's a big step for our company because that means we're reaching more people and helping more people. That's really what I'm all about. So have yourself a wonderful fantasy football week. I'm Dean Curry, so have yourself a wonderful day.